Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? I want to talk about the NFL Divisional Round when it comes to the playoffs. This was very awesome. This weekend was filled with intense moments, shocking moments, obnoxious moments, and heading into the weekend, when I saw the matchups, nothing really screamed at me. I was going to watch, obviously. It's NFL football and it's the playoffs. I'm going to be dialed in, but nothing screamed at me and said, this is must watch. This is going to be the best game ever. This is going to be sick and great and filled with so many great plays and entertainment. It just seemed like, okay. I mean, the Vikings upset the Saints, so that killed some entertaining storylines when it comes to Drew Brees and a future Hall of Famer in him. And you have the Titans winning, so no Tom Brady, no New England Patriots. When I looked at the schedule, nothing really told me, Broads, you better be on that damn couch. You better have that game on because you do not want to miss it. But by the end of the weekend, after the 4 games, I was stunned and just so happy that I didn't miss a snap because for the most part, everything was great. One thing that wasn't great, though, was the fact that the Eagles didn't play, and it sucked. Besides the bye week, this is the first weekend this season where the Eagles did not take the field, and it was very upsetting. It felt funky. It didn't feel right watching football, knowing the Birds are done and they got knocked out of the playoffs. I'm just letting you know, emotionally, in my heart, it was really hard for me to fathom it was a reality. But let's talk about these games and what occurred. But before we do, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. Are you looking to buy tickets? Do you want to go to a basketball game, a hockey game? Hell, if your team's still in the playoffs, do you want to buy tickets to go to that game? Well, what if I told you I can give you money off of those tickets? Because I can. If you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page, you will receive $20 off of your total purchase. Why would you not? That's free parking, free food, free beer. It's a no-brainer to use the promo code BROADS today. So I will start with what game popped the most for me, and that was the Chiefs and the Texans game. The Texans were up 24-0, and they blew it. Not only did they blow it, right? The Chiefs didn't just come back and win the game. They came back in a quarter. That second quarter was unbelievable. Pat Mahomes doing his thing, getting out of the pocket, buying time, finding Travis Kelce, their special teams creating turnovers, a fumble, and getting in good field position. The team never died. Andy Reid sitting on the sideline, dialing up plays and making this thing work. For Bill O'Brien to do whatever he did, it's embarrassing. That's lose your job worthy type stuff. His effort was embarrassing. When the Texans were up 21-0 and it was 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, you go for it. It's a no-brainer. You go for it. You're on the road. You're in Kansas City. You have a chance to go up 28-0 on the road in a playoff game. Stop. Are you kidding me? And he settles for the field goal after taking some timeouts earlier and blowing all sorts of timeouts. He's frustrated on the sidelines. That's a joke. Then he goes for that fake punt on the own side of the 50, and it gets blown up, and he gets tackled there. A nice open field tackle by the Chiefs, but with the way the Texans wasted time and looked around, and it sniffed and it smelled. It smelled like it was going to be a fake, and the Chiefs sniffed it out. That's what I was trying to get out there. But wow, I mean, Bill O'Brien with a huge choke job. That just flat out can't happen. I'm not a big Bill O'Brien guy. Now, he consistently wins that division and he gets into the playoffs, but I don't think he's a very smart coach. He totally lost them that football game by trying to be dumb. If you settle for the field goal, I don't agree with it, but I understand. Like, you're going up 24-0 on the road. If you look at it from a big picture standpoint, you would take that any day of the week. I don't agree with that. You gotta punch him in the mouth. You really gotta rock him right in the jaw if you have that type of possibility. But okay, I get it. But when you go for that fake punt, you're just trying to give the game away. You feel bad for going for the field goal, allowing points, and doing that punt was almost as if you were scared and had to try and do something to make up for that big mistake that you made when punting, or not, I'm sorry, for kicking that field goal. Just a disgrace. But I'm happy for Andy Reid. I'm an Andy Reidsman. I'm rooting for Andy Reid. Obviously, he did a lot here in Philadelphia, and this fan base is ready to root him on, and they want to see him win a championship. He's one of the most successful coaches in this game. He is bad when it comes to time management and using the clock and things of that nature, but he is a very talented coach. X's and O's, he's great. When it comes to the locker room, he's fantastic. It's time for Andy Reid to win a championship, and what they did in this game, it was magnificent, scoring 51 points. When they came back on that surge in that first half, specifically that second quarter, they dominated the football game. Everyone knew the Texans had no chance of winning that game once they allowed Pat Mahomes and those fellas to get it going. It all started with, once he kicked that field goal, a good punt return or a good kickoff return for the Chiefs, put them in good field territory, and you had the fans kind of get into it. It just all came so quick too, and as I stated, it wasn't a game where it took to the fourth quarter for the Chiefs to finally come back. It came in one monster wave of play after play after play after play for Kansas City to find a way to grab that lead back. Was there a questionable touchdown throw by Pat Mahomes? Was he over the line of scrimmage or not? It looked like technically they got it right. His back foot was not over the line of scrimmage, and they counted it as a touchdown. I think if they called it the other way, though, it would be tough to overturn it. It was one of those, whichever way they called it, it would have stood on the field anyway. But that's not the game. That wasn't where they won or lost the football game. The Texans totally blew up, and they lost it, and it started with the head coach. They were not able to do it. And this is after the Chiefs had so many chances early on to just catch the football, but it was a drop after a drop, and I thought I was watching the Philadelphia Eagles. Travis Kelce drops one. He's punching the ground. I mean, the left and right. Robinson dropping passes. He couldn't find a way to catch it at all. It was almost as if the moment was a little big for them for the first couple minutes. The anxiety was there. The pressure was there. The home field was there. They were nervous, right? A little bit of upset stomachs, if you will. But once everything started clicking, they were rolling, and credit to their offensive coordinator, who was calling plays and who got screwed out of potentially landing a spot as a head coach, because the Browns end up hiring Stefanski, which is funny because he had an awful game against why am I drawing a blank? San Francisco 49ers. And at the time, it was Stefanski versus the 49ers defensive coordinator, and they were both battling for the Browns spot, and ultimately they go with the guy who loses. Typical Browns. Although, I will stand by my belief. Just because Stefanski had a tough night with the Minnesota Vikings, I think the Vikings went as far as their talent really is. I know they have good wide receivers in Dalvin Cook, but with Kirk Cousins and with that offensive line and things of that nature, it wasn't as if they had this elite talent that fell short. This is about what the Vikings are. So I'm not going to crush the Browns and say this guy's the worst offensive coordinator in the world because he lost a playoff game on the road with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, you know? But still, I mean, you got to give credit to what Kansas City did and what their offensive coordinator did and what Andy Reid did and just the entire comeback. That first half was epic. That's the way to describe it. You saw everything. It had everything in that first half. And from there, Kansas City would not be stopped. They continued to pile it on. Second game, the Titans. The Titans beat the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They stunned Baltimore. Baltimore fans, they were in the stadium shocked, had no clue what to do. And I've been in that stadium before. It's loud, really loud. I give them credit. I actually had to work an event there. I went to school at my old school in the Baltimore area, and we actually worked an event at the Ravens game for a fundraiser, and it was a pretty good game that I went to as well. There was an overtime. They won in overtime on a sick punt return. It was really awesome. That place gets insane. Like, I knew it would be a hostile environment for the Titans. But what I love about them, one, Mike Vrabel. I absolutely love Mike Vrabel and everything he brings to the table. The dude is working out on the sidelines before the game. Like, he's getting a workout as if he's going to play the game. That's awesome. The players love playing for this guy. He's dapping up the players as they enter the locker room, hugging them. He's essentially a player, and the team absolutely loves it. But I also love the fact that you know what they're going to do. You can't stop it. Derrick Henry will get the football. Derrick Henry will have 180-plus yards. Derrick Henry will run the ball down your throat, and in the fourth quarter, he will be better than he was in the second quarter. You can't stop it. Good luck stopping it. And if you do get sucked in after a couple runs in a row, here comes a bomb play-action play by Ryan Tannehill. It's unbelievable. You know what's coming, and you can't stop it. I give credit, all of the credit, to this Titans team. They're fun. Like, it sucks because I like them, and I like the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll give you my matchups that I want the most in the Super Bowl, and I'll run them down in order, but I like both teams, and I think this AFC Championship game is going to be super entertaining. But I want to look real quick at the Ravens side of this loss. The Lamar Jackson conversation is flooding sports media and sports talk radio. Here's the thing. The guy dominated 16 games, right? Dominated and will be the MVP of the season. Don't tell me because the Tennessee Titans outworked the Ravens and beat the Ravens that all of a sudden he's not going to work. He stinks. Don't tell me that all you got to do is make him one-dimensional and he'll have to throw the ball and then they'll definitely lose. Keeping Lamar Jackson one-dimensional is very hard. The Titans are playing tough football right now. They're arguably playing the hottest football right now in the league. They're all dialed in. They have the underdog role going for them. Lamar Jackson will work in this league. He had a bad football game. John Harbaugh had a bad football game. He got out-coached by a mile. The reason why Lamar Jackson is so good is because I think John Harbaugh put together a beautiful game plan and a beautiful scheme for him all season long. But when that scheme wasn't very effective and when John Harbaugh ended up getting out-coached, it hurt his quarterback. Now, his quarterback didn't have a great game. He's a young quarterback, and he has a lot to learn, and he tried to force some things in windows, and he was not as accurate as he needed to be. But to all of a sudden shoot him down and say, well, I knew he would never work just because he had one bad playoff performance at a young age, that's just totally unfair. There are plenty of Hall of Fame quarterbacks where in the first year of their career, in the first couple playoff tries, they didn't succeed. This is a brutal, tough league where only one team wins. So I thought Lamar Jackson had a bad night, a tough night, but to say he'll never work, I'm sorry, I can't go to that extreme. But all around, the Ravens just got outworked by a team that was hungrier, who came in better prepared and with a coach that schemed better than the Ravens did. And it's just that simple. It was stunning. I thought the Ravens maybe assumed that their skill would carry them through this game. And there's a lot of discussion about, well, they sat the last week of the season, regular season, and then they had a bye week. So essentially for 2 weeks, their starters didn't play. But let's be real. When you have your playoff spot clinched, why would you play anyone in week 17? There would be no reason to. What if Lamar got hurt? What if Mark Ingram got hurt? What if some of these players got hurt? Then you would criticize the head coach for putting them in there. It makes no sense to play them in week 17, and then you have the bye week. It just didn't work out because they didn't play a good football game. That's what it is. They did everything properly in the beginning. Absolutely. So that's how I see it on the Ravens side. But man, oh man, that Titans team played electric football. They are inspired, and it seems like they have some magic behind them. It really does. It seems like they have some magic behind them. And I was actually on 97.3 ESPN this morning from 10 a.m. to noon with Billy Schweim, and there was a caller who called in and said that the Titans kind of feel like LSU. The LSU Tigers, it seems like destiny is on their side. They're going to do it. It's just their year. Somehow it seems to this caller that that's the Titans. And it does seem like there is some sort of magic on their side with the way that they're playing. It seems so ridiculous that you know what they're going to do, but you just can't stop it. And then you got to credit what their defense is doing because they're playing tough. Their safety is playing unreal, making great plays, being a leader. All around, it's been a wild run for the Titans, and they are going to be in an AFC Championship game in Kansas City. Hell, they won in Foxborough. They won in Baltimore. Why can't they win in Kansas City? That's going to be a very intriguing game, and I'm super pumped to see it. So, going to the NFC side, the Packers hold on to beat the Seattle Seahawks. let me tell you something. I'm really, really, really feeling awful for Jadeveon Clowney for not making it to the next round. Oh, I really do feel bad for him. I do. I really wanted to see him win a championship. There's nothing else I would want more than to see him win a championship. So my heart goes out to him for not being able to advance to the NFC Championship game. The refs were awful in that one. There's no denying it. They had the fumble, which they weren't able to see if anyone recovered it on the replay. What a joke. This apparently was the same crew that refed the Eagles-Cowboys game 2 years ago where there were 7 Eagles on top of a fumble in Dallas, and they said they couldn't see it. That's a really bad call by the referees. And then you had the controversial play with Jimmy Graham to end the game. Was it a first down? Was it not a first down? The only thing I can say is, one, the NFL gets things wrong all the time, but the only thing I can say is, was the yellow line really the first down marker? Because if you've been watching football for a long time, you know that the yellow line isn't official. So maybe there's something that we don't know. But Pete Carroll was pissed off, deservingly so, if the yellow line was the first down marker because it was short. There was also a couple times where I thought, one specifically actually, not a couple times, but one specifically where I thought the Packers, they gave a touchdown to the Packers where you really couldn't see if he crossed the goal line. It looked as if the Packers were short, but they gave it to them anyway, and there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it and say that he didn't cross the goal line. So I just thought the refs in that Packers-Seahawks game were really pathetic. But at the end of the day, look, the Packers went out on an early lead, and yes, Russell Wilson and that squad came back in the second half and scored touchdowns and continued to put points up on the board. But ultimately, they dug themselves in way too big of a hole, and I wanted the Packers win because I think that they are the more complete and better team, and I want really good matchups for the championship games, and I think we absolutely have that, because when you look at the Vikings 49ers took care of business. But real quick, before we move on from Aaron Rodgers and what he did, I need to give him a shout out for what he did on third down. How about these third down numbers? 7 of 10, 121 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, 6 first downs, and 144.2 passer rating. Elite. The answer is elite, if you ask me what that means. He was unbelievable, throwing dots. A lot of people have been questioning, what is Aaron Rodgers? Is he falling on the backside of his career? And the answer is definitely yes, but he has more of a complete team where he doesn't need to carry everyone all the time like he once did. And I always say this, winning the Super Bowl is so hard. Hot take, you heard it here first, but here's how I relate it to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best to ever do it. He's got 1 Super Bowl. It is so brutally hard to do this. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest we've ever seen play the game at that position. He's got 1 Super Bowl. He has an opportunity. But what I like about this Packers team is, I know a lot of people talked about their flawed 13-win season. They hung on late, and they did, and they played a banged-up Seattle team, so it wasn't as if they went up against the 49ers in this round or anything like that, right? But they took care of business, and they are a more complete team than Seattle, so it makes the next round more important. More entertaining, I'm sorry, not more important. And real quick here, the Vikings just lose to San Fran. The 49ers took care of business. That pass rush is legit. Kyle Shanahan has a great offense with Jimmy G rocking the quarterback position, and they have a lot of stuff going on where it's very creative. They have a creative offense with Kittle being utilized, and they have Emmanuel Sanders and their run game. They give teams a tough time based off of their looks, and Kyle Shanahan has done a really great job with the 49ers. I think they just pretty much took care of business. Kirk Cousins is what he is, right? He can only get you so far, and it ended. He got his one big playoff win. Everyone talks about his wins against teams over 500 compared to under 500 teams. Well, he took care of business, the 49ers did, and They ran out of steam. The Vikings ran out of steam because when it comes to the quarterback position, they just didn't have enough talent. They have Diggs and Thielen and Cook, which are good players, but your quarterback needs to be able to make it happen, and I don't think Zimmer is a great coach either. I think he's a decent coach, but he's not a great coach. He's not going to take the team over to the next hump, and it is what it is. If you have Zimmer, you're maxed out at a certain spot. With Kirk Cousins and Zimmer, you're maxed out at a specific spot. One thing I touched on was the fact that teams the good teams winning makes the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game more entertaining. I always mention this when it comes to March Madness. Upsets are part of it, and I like upsets because it's entertaining that Little School, Little Rock ends up winning a game, or, Duke goes down in the second round. But ultimately, I want the finish and the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 to be really good teams. I want Baylor versus Kentucky. I want Duke and I want UNC involved. I want these big-time schools involved deep in the run. Last year, you had the Texas Tech thing, and you had Virginia, which is a big school, but they're normally not involved. But that at least is entertaining. But sometimes, you have these teams go on runs. Like when Loyola of Chicago goes on a run and they make a legit run, that's a little different because they're going real deep and it keeps you engaged. But for one to beat 6, or for 16 to beat 1, or for 2 to beat 15, I want to see the good teams involved late. Well, it's the same here, essentially, is what I'm getting at. I want the better teams to be involved late. And you have the Chiefs, you have the Packers, you have the 49ers. Those are great teams, 3 really great teams. And with the way Tennessee is playing right now, I can argue that is very comparable to, say, Loyola of Chicago. It's an underdog story, but they're deep enough where it's an entertaining storyline. It's not some team that has no chance at all at winning whatsoever. So when you look at the last 4 teams, it's going to be really good value when it comes to entertainment. So real quick before I end this, I want to give you my ratings of what I would like to see in the Super Bowl. My first choice would be Chiefs-Packers. With Aaron Rodgers, with the new head coach, and speaking of the new head coach, how about that? They fire Mike McCarthy and then they make the NFC Championship game the next year. That's so funny to me. It really is. But Chiefs-Packers, with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, with the new head coach and Aaron Rodgers, that's it. That's the number one choice that I would love to see. Number 2, Titans-Packers. I'm all about that Titans team making a final run at that. I would love to see Mike Vrabel, and I would love to see Derrick Henry on the Super Bowl stage based off of everything they've been through this season. It's miraculous, and it's awesome, and I would like to see them play against Aaron Rodgers. My third option would be Titans-49ers, and then my least one would be Chiefs 49ers, but that would still be good. I'm not saying any of these are bad, but if there was any order that I would like to see it happen, it would be that. The 49ers, I know they're good. I know their pass rush is fun to watch. Their defense is really solid. And as I stated, they do have creativity to their offense, but the other 3 teams make it better for me. I like the other 3 teams more than I like the 49ers as a whole. And that's just how I feel. So with that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts down below on this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.